Welcome to one of NASCAR's original 6 tracks, the Martinsville Speedway in South Central Virginia, where final practice is about to begin for tomorrow's running of the Subway 500. And a critical practice it is. There's a new track surface here at Martinsville since the last race here. Different grip, different dips, resulting in different needs for the car to have top speed for Sunday's long run. Let's go right downstairs to the pit area. Here's Matt Yoakum.
And championship point leader Kurt Busch buckling in. Now, Kurt, one story we've been following since the testing sessions here, brakes, and a lot of heat in the brakes. What are you seeing with yours?
Our brakes are doing okay. It just seems like you're going to find the right balance between front and rear so that you can get in the corner the proper way. But this place is starting to tear up the tires, and we burned our rear tires off the car in 50 laps. And so this is something we've got to work on for this next session. We might not be fast, but we've got to make it to where it'll last on these rear tires.
Now, one of our speed shots showed a lot of marbles coming out of the corners. How is that going to play a factor for tomorrow?
That's the biggest factor that we have to adjust for. To make sure that you don't end up on the outside groove. You have to let somebody go. You've got to get back in line as quick as you can. It's going to play a vital role in tomorrow's race.
He qualified 7th. He's won here before. That was back when he started 36. He's made himself a lot better starting spot for tomorrow. To Marty Snyder.
Jimmy Johnson, and somebody has already hit his left rear quarter panel. Jimmy, how did you get the left rear damage there?
I just ran out of space on the racetrack. Went to let the 30 by, and didn't know the 42 was back there and snuck in. So little contact, but just putting a scratch on it. Once you put one scratch on it, you won't have another one, so they say.
And this new racing surface, how hard will it be to pass tomorrow?
It's going to be tough. The track's really abrasive and abusive to the tires, so that's the only thing that's going to help. You're going to need tires every time you come in and pit, but I don't think the second lane's going to come in.
Jimmy has a very good race car, second fastest in the morning practice, Alan.
Marty, thanks. Alan Bestwick, Benny Parsons here at Martinsville Speedway. Thanks for joining us for Nextel Cup final practice. Wally is in Memphis to cover the Busch race on TNT later on today. If you remember back in the Nextel Cup race here in April, the big pothole that developed in turn 3 necessitated the red flag for an hour and 15 minutes and necessitated the complete resurfacing of this speedway. Concrete in the corners, asphalt on the straightaway as it was before, but BP, it is a different surface and it's changed things.
It's much different. The racetrack is much smoother than it was before. The entry into the corner, the exit off the corner, they've changed. And some of the guys are saying if they were going to put down concrete, and they were going to rebuild the corners, why didn't they do the whole thing? Why are we going from concrete to asphalt on the straightaway? And that's where they're having some of the problems. And Kurt Busch talked about it. Also, this racetrack, the fact that it's smoother is much faster. And Kurt Busch said something to Matt Yoakum just a moment ago. They're burning off the rear tires. That could be huge. I saw cars earlier today scuffing those tires, trying to put a heat cycle through the tires so that they would last maybe a little bit longer tomorrow. They're very concerned about the rear tires. And so the unknowns coming into this weekend are big for the teams. I talked with Rusty Wallace. He talked about coming in here with the same setup he won the race with back in April, being totally out to lunch. I've talked to crew chief, same thing. Cars that ran well here in the spring, everything on that car is in the trash pile and something new on the car now, trying to find the handle for this new surface at Martinsville.
And so finding that over these next 45 minutes or so of practice critical for all of the teams, and especially the 10 contenders for the Nextel Cup. We're halfway through the chase for the championship, 5 races to go. You see Kurt Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon separated by a very slim margin. And we talked about Charlotte being a place where you could find trouble easily. That's got nothing on Martinsville. Jeff Gordon, Earnhardt Jr. talking it over before they strap in for Nextel Cup final practice. You'll see it live on Speed when we come back. Speed Channel's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup final practice from the Martinsville Speedway is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, scooters, ATVs, and personal watercraft. See the cars beginning to roll out, lining up on the pit lane, and they'll head out onto the track here shortly for their final practice session. Let's check with Matt.
Oh, fun, yeah. And Jeff Gordon and crew chief Robbie Loomis debriefing. Now, tomorrow during our NBC coverage, we're going to see that he gave you a ride. How was it?
It was good. I had to work on a qualifying line. I was talking to him about qualifying. He was talking to me about how to set the car up better for him, so it worked good.
Did you learn something, though, from the crew chief side, seeing what the driver sees?
Yeah, I learned that lap he did yesterday qualifying was pretty impressive compared to riding with him today.
Well, let's talk about this final practice session. Jeff, what's the biggest thing this team is going to work on?
Well, we're just, trying to get the car to really, get in good and get off good, which is what everybody's, working on. But this track right now just takes a totally different combination than what it's taken, in the past. I mean, we had it figured out pretty good. The track was much rougher. The transitions in the corner were a lot different. You really had to get the car to turn the middle really good drive off. Right now, the cars are turning good. They got, they have good drive off. So, we're just really trying to keep up with the increased speed of the track and get the car to roll through the middle of the corner the way I need it to.
Real quick, do you think we'll see more bumping and gouging because of the new concrete and pavement?
Well, I've seen two things so far. One is, there's really only one groove. We're throwing a lot of rubber in that outside groove. You really can't get outside of it. But I see a lot of guys having trouble staying in that one groove that we have. I mean, the entry speed has increased, and the cars just seem to really get loose getting in, even though it's not as rough. Maybe just because we're carrying more speed, there's more grip. Cars seem to be turning better, and a lot of guys are having trouble getting in the corners and can't keep it on the bottom groove.
Well, he's getting ready to climb into his race car. 2 wins and a 6th in his last 3 Martinsville starts. To Marty.
Well, Matt, Bobby Labonte just finished eating lunch, and now he's going to give us an interview, and then he's going to go practice. He finished 2nd here in April. How's the car today?
It's not bad. We never put a set of tires on the first practice. We always stayed on the same set we started with. And it was pretty good. I mean, we fought a little bit of forward bite, a little bit tight in the center, but hopefully we can make the right changes here and get it better for this happy hour. We'll probably be a little bit closer to what we're going to race tomorrow.
Well, it seems like we're battling a couple things. One, there's not a second groove, and 2, if there is one, there's marbles up there, and you can't run it there, can you?
I don't think so. I can't. So it'll be hard to get one up there probably, but I'm sure somebody will be trying it, but I'm not sure it'll work.
Somebody will be brave enough to get up there and try a second groove. Same car that Bobby finished 2nd with here in April, driving today. Alan.
It's always a challenge with a new track surface, is getting it worked out to where there are 2 racing grooves. We'll see how it goes here in Martinsville in this final practice. Cars on the track when we come back. Always a lot coming your way from the racetrack on a weekend on Speed Channel, including Pit Bulls. Live from Martinsville tonight, 6:30 Eastern Time. We'll gather up the riders and hear what they have to say about the latest goings-on in the sport. Pit Bulls tonight, 6:30 Eastern here on Speed.
Well, the cars were supposed to be on the racetrack. You advertised cars on the track when we came back, but we've got to get these guys off the track first. They've been trying their best to get that debris that we talked about out of that top groove off, so these guys can check out a second groove if they are a mind to. I doubt that many of them will be a mind to.
Yeah, it's gonna be Adventureland if you do. You've heard of Tomorrowland and Never Never Land, and that'll be Adventureland if you end up drifting up into that outside lane.
Now look at these tires. It's all but flat. That's 7, 8, 9 pounds of air pressure in these tires. It's just amazing. And plus, the tire's almost flat when they come off the corner with that 800 horsepower, putting all that. And there we see the 17 car. No better. No more than 10 pounds of air pressure. Ryan Newman, they're all the same. And you say, well, how can these tires work? Because they're going to build up some air pressure as they get hot. They're going to get hot because the brake, the rotors inside those wheels are going to come up to around 1,500 degrees. That will build up the air pressure in those tires. But they can easily damage these tires in the first few laps if they aren't careful.
Recommended minimum inflation on the left side tires here at Martinsville this weekend from Goodyear is 11 pounds. That's not a lot. That's recommended. And some of the teams go below recommended.
Hey, Marty, these guys aren't up to recommended, are they?
No, BP. I think recommended's way too high for these guys. I was just going to chip in here. I had one tire guy tell me, and he will remain anonymous, that he won a race here by constantly putting in 6 1/4 and 6 1/2 pounds in the left front tire throughout the race, and they dominated that day and went on to victory lane. So doesn't take a lot of air pressure, as you say, BP. Builds up very quickly, so you have to start with very little.
I mean, we would not see this at a super speedway with those speeds up to 180, 180, 90 miles per hour. But here, where top speed is probably in the 125 range, it's just amazing to me, though.
So, talking about the reasons for the track surface being necessitated here at Martinsville, you'll remember back in the April race here, had a little pothole that ruined Jeff Gordon's day.
I mean, there we see him hitting the big chunk of concrete that came up. And there it is. That's not the chunk, that's the hole that it caused. And we see the damage to the right front of his car. after he hit that. And they threw the red flag to fix it, and he is so upset because the NASCAR officials, the rule is you can't work on your car on the red flag. Well, he thought that he should be allowed to try to work on his car during the red, and they said no, he couldn't do it.
And Jeff Gordon wound up with a pretty good rally and a decent finish in that race in the spring, but thought he had a chance to win, and it didn't end up that way. He finished 6th on the day. So cars on the track to try and figure out this fickle new track surface. A couple of things to notice about it. First of all, as we talked about earlier, they still stayed with the formula they had here in the past of pavement on the straightaways and concrete in the corners. This racetrack used to be paved all the way around, but they had troubles keeping the surface down in the corners some years ago.
Well, these cars get so much grip, they just literally tore the asphalt all to pieces. We ended up with just a pile of gravel in the corner, not asphalt. I raced here on that gravel, and it was unbelievable.
And so that's where the concrete in the corners came from here many years ago. It's now over 20 years ago.
See, watch those tires when he goes down the straightaway. When he hit the accelerator off the corner, how the weight goes back to the rear, and when he dive on the brakes, how it shifts back to the front.
The one major change besides the actual surface itself, the concrete has been extended on the exit of the corner. That's about 100 feet more concrete before you hit the pavement on the exit of the corners than used to be here before.
And the drivers are still complaining it's not enough because they're still, as they come off the corner on the concrete, right there, they spin the tires on the asphalt. And Jeff Gordon talked about the cars going in the corner. I talked to him this morning down the garage area, and that's what he told me, that to pass, Mark Martin didn't like that because I think he would have run more laps if he had liked it. He said what you do is you follow a guy because they're going to make mistakes getting down in the corner. You lose the back end so bad to get loose getting down in the turns.
Only other thing about Mark Martin there, VP, is if he was scuffing a set of tires.
Could be.
Heard and saw in the first practice session earlier today, lots of teams putting on a set of brand new tires, sticker tires with the sticker on them, running a lap, 2 laps, and then pulling in and taking them off and firing another set of new tires on, just to work a heat cycle into the tire, try and make it a little more durable for this brand new racing surface.
That's the theory, that if you put a heat cycle in these tires, they will become just a very tiny bit more durable.
But Jimmie Johnson proving that never give up in a race until the checkered flag is waved. Even if you don't have the fastest car, it might still come your way.
He was impressive last Saturday night at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. But Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, equally as impressive. Gordon, with all his problems, crashing twice, coming back to finish in the 2nd spot. There's Jimmy.
Jimmy with the season sweep at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Of course, Casey Kane dominated the race and had the problem at the 400-mile mark and allowed Jimmy to get on and race his way up to the front and pick up the victory, his 5th of the season. Here's the doubt. That was the good news. Here's the bad news for Jimmy. He won the race. He only gained 20 points on the leader in the championship because of that great rally that Kurt Busch had. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of in that mindset of, if I'd like to see NASCAR change anything for next season about the championship chase, item number 1 on that list is I'd like to see winning a race be worth more.
Well, maybe. You know, people ask me the question. There we see the tires, the left rear, left front. People ask me the same question, and my answer is, let's wait till it's over and see how it shakes out. It may be that what we have is going to work out perfectly. Maybe not.
Tony Stewart 6th in the chase for the Nextel Cup coming into the weekend, 204 points behind the leader Kurt Busch as he works the left side tires on his Home Depot Chevy.
And they talked about in testing up here that as the tires wear, and we saw that debris on the top side of the racetrack, see the chunks flying up? As these tires wear, it's not going in the racetrack. This racetrack has not turned very dark with all the running that's been on it, and that the rubber is joining together, clumping together, and you get a big clump of rubber. It's coming up and doing some damage to the cars, knocking out inner panels and things like that. Hey, Matt, what about the 6 car?
BP, he said a lot of things while he was in his garage stall. First off, he told Pat Tryson, information is the big key during this final practice session. He wanted to know how his car compared lap times to the other cars. About 3:10, saw they made a spring change in the right rear. He said the car a little free on exit, and then as he pulled out and started to drive away, he saw Matt Kenseth, his teammate, had pulled in. He said, find out what's wrong with their car. They came in early too.
You see Mark now waiting in the line to get back out onto the racetrack. NASCAR only allowing a certain number of cars on the speedway at a time. So Mark and Jeff Gordon and Bobby Labonte and a few others there.
Watch his knees going up and down. Watch that nervousness inside the car. He wants on the racetrack, and that knee just going up and down. Said, let me out there. I want to find out what's wrong with his car.
Gotta go. All right, so Mark Martin waiting to get back out. Jeremy Mayfield has posted the fastest lap so far, and it is Nextel Cup final practice live from Martinsville on Speed. We're back in a minute. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is here at Martinsville, and you'll see their race later today, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Speed. Bobby Hamilton, Dennis Setzer, the championship leaders, on the front row after qualifying was rained out, and the field lined up according to the championship standings.
I know about 86 people that will be watching that truck race, very interested and seeing if that outside groove comes in. The drivers and crew chiefs for each one of these Nextel Cup cars.
Well, some of them are going to be in the race. Bobby Labonte, Jamie McMurray, Ken Schrader, even Travis Kvapil running the Nextel Cup race.
Not too bad. Starts 8th. The Craftsman Truck Series cars were lined up according to the Craftsman Truck Series points, owner points, because of rain yesterday. But Travis Kvapil had a great qualifying run. Starts 5th tomorrow in the Nextel Cup.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. second in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Making some laps, 9th fastest so far, about to complete his 14th lap. Matty?
And the guy he's chasing for that championship, Kurt Busch, is back in the garage stall now. These two teams are fighting for 2 championships, the Nextel Cup, and then here at Martinsville, the Jesse Jones championship battle. Now, these two teams are battling to see who can eat the most Jesse Jones hot dogs. Mark DeMarco, 7. That's today. Mike Kelly, 5 yesterday, 2 today. Now, this is the big front runner, BP. Kevin Two Beer Pennell. Look how many he had yesterday, and he's had more today. He is leading everybody. See, the 8 guys are outdoing the 97 guys, but I really don't necessarily know, cholesterol level-wise, if that's really a positive.
Hey, Matt, it isn't even lunchtime yet, and Pennell's already had 6 hot dogs.
BP, he is going for the all-time record, which I really don't know what that is, but I wouldn't want to ride with him home Sunday night.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I went to Martinsville to do a race, and I gained 15 pounds. Wow. All right, Marty.
Alan, the left rear bumper of Michael Waltrip's car just went by us, and it's already a little bit damaged. That's going to be the way to move people out of the way tomorrow, or pass them, is to move them out of the way. Michael's car a little bit loose, so they added a bigger front sway bar. And as soon as this practice is over with, Michael Waltrip and Greg Biffle on a jet to Memphis to drive the Busch Series race this afternoon. Busy day for the drivers of the 15 and 16 cars.
I guess.
I saw him get that damage on that left rear. He came off turn 4 in the 48 car. Jimmy Johnson was gnawing on the left rear of Michael Waltrip's car.
Talk with Jeff Gordon at the top of the final practice coverage. He's out on the track now after waiting in that line along the pit road. By the way, Mark Martin is back out on track, so he can apply his nervousness in another way.
And Jeff says tomorrow that just pressure that guy in front of you, and they're going in the corner. They're going to have their hands full.
Something else I've heard from a lot of people in the garage area yesterday and today, BP, brakes.
Oh, yeah.
Because this new track surface has that grip in that bottom lane and the extended concrete off the corner, you're actually accelerating harder sooner than you used to before. So when you get to the other end of the straightaway, like Jeff Gordon's about to here, you're going faster.
You're going faster, so that means you've got to slow it down more and use more brakes. Now, I don't expect that Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, these guys that have a lot of experience in Martinsville to have brake problems. But I do expect guys with that, drivers and teams with not a lot of experience here will have brake problems. Man, what are you hearing about brake situation down in the garage area?
BP, it's a storyline that I'm sure we're going to follow tomorrow at length, but I talked to Tony Eury Jr., the car chief for Dale Jr., and he told me that that's something they saw when we're testing here at Martinsville. In fact, the temperature, the difference between last time and this time due to the new concrete and pavement between 200 and 300 degrees per wheel.
Difference.
So you are seeing a huge difference. The temperature a lot hotter, using a lot more brakes here because they're going so much faster here.
Matt, you're saying it's 200-300 degrees warmer now now than it was in the spring?
Absolutely, BP.
Man, oh man.
And Rusty Wallace told me will be some people run out of brakes in Sunday's race. And brakes historically a big thing here at Martinsville, but it had kind of gone away as the technology has crept forward. But looks like it's going to come back into the picture tomorrow. Jeff Gordon, of course, with just a phenomenal rally last Saturday night in the race at Lowe's Motor Speedway to get a second-place finish. This is turn 1, lap 1.
The 24 car gets in the back of the 97 of Busch, spins him out, goes bouncing up off the 51. They come in, repair that damage, but he wasn't done. Yep. He spins out by himself off turn 4, and Rusty Wallace comes along and pounds him in the left rear, so much so it ruined the radiator in the 2 car, but Jeff Gordon continued on, soldiered on, and had a second-place finish.
That was at lap 76. They repaired the car. Lap 210, Jeff Gordon got the lucky dog pass, got back on the lead lap, came back around with the help of a couple of cautions, and all of a sudden he's running second when the checkered flag waves. What a night.
Unbelievable. And Kurt Busch, as I said earlier, comes back to finish in 4th position after his problem in turn 1 and going through the grass off turn 4 late in the race.
Now the big question is going to be, is this car better today than it was yesterday? Jeff Gordon broke a streak yesterday. He had 8 straight Martinsville top 5 starts. And that went out the window with his 15th place qualifying run in Bud Pole efforts here on Friday afternoon.
And qualifying at this racetrack is very, very important. Starting up front is very, very important. The guys in the truck's been doing some research, and it's just amazing. Well, I think it was like the front row out of 54 races, 9 winners or something, I believe.
Well, I could shuffle my papers here. I can give you a couple of those numbers, BP.
We've got it right here. First position, 7 wins. Second position, 16 out of 54 in the front row. But look at this, top 10 qualifiers. 42 of the 54 races have been won from a car starting in the top 10. That's 80%. And Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, they're all back in the field.
So Gordon out making some laps here at Martinsville, trying to find that same magic feel he had in the past when he won here, swept both races in 2003. This Formula One, where you don't have to set an alarm clock to get up to see it. Brazilian Grand Prix F1 qualifying, 3:30 Eastern later today on Speed Channel. Final race of the season for the F1 circus, and see if Michael Schumacher can close it out in style or if Rubens can win on his home track.
And Mark did not stop, folks. A technical problem caused his car to stop in the racetrack, but he continued on.
I hate it when that happens. Wood Brothers, located about a 25-minute or so drive from here. Their home base in Stewart, Virginia. Of course, the team now is shopped down in Charlotte, but this very much the home track for the famed team, and they've got a great chance to pull off a victory here on Sunday.
Right now, he's the 3rd best in this practice session, and he was, I think, 8th best in the first one. And yesterday in practice, until before qualifying, he was the fastest car, and in qualifying, ended up qualifying 9th.
Ricky Rudd making some laps. And let's check on Jamie McMurray. Marty?
Alan, these teams use a program called Lap Tracker, and in the first session, it keeps up with every lap these teams run. The #1 car, the 42 car, Jamie McMurray's very consistent, and they were running in the 20s, BP, on 50-lap tires. They never changed tires in the first session. The car very good, a little bit tight for Jamie, but we talked about brakes. Now he has a little bit of a brake vibration. These teams will redo the entire brake system tonight, and in the morning when they get in here, first thing in the morning, and they have to put new brake pads on and change everything out. Jamie experiencing a little bit of vibration, especially from the rear brakes right now.
And what they're doing now is checking the toe end of the car to make sure that the wheels are pointed straight ahead. They put it, there's a tape measure. They hook it on this side, hook it in the other side. They get a reading. Okay, as soon as he gets the reading, he'll disconnect it. He'll bring it around to the front. And the difference in the, well, I'm sorry, they've already done the front, now they go to the rear. The difference in the front to the rear is whether they've got toe in, toe out, and how much.
And they usually run just a shade of toe out.
About a 1/16, 1/8 of an inch. Here at this racetrack, sometimes they'll run a 1/4 of an inch because they feel like that will keep the car tight in the corners. There's a lot more toe out. The right front tire being towed out about a 1/4 of an inch.
You think about the wheels on the car and friction. If the rear end housing is also set to be squared in the car a certain way, if the wheels aren't all pointing in the same direction, you're creating friction, tire wear, and scrubbing speed.
That's right. But here in the corners, they feel like sometimes they can give up that little bit of scrub for the handling capability.
Here's Mr. Martinsville. That would be Rusty Wallace, who qualified second outside of the front row for tomorrow's race. Rusty will be seeking his 8th victory here at Martinsville Speedway, looking for the season sweep. He won here back in April. What you saying about the car, Marty?
And Alan, this is the same exact race car he won with here in April, and he's saying a lot of things. You guys are sitting down in the booth, right?
Yep.
He said, it's so good I'm afraid to make changes to it. And that is something Rusty Wallace never says. He's always wanting to make changes to his race car. Very happy with it. They're fine-tuning, making very small shock changes, but he feels very confident about this race car.
And you see the RPM range. He goes down to 5,000 RPMs in the corner and accelerates to around 94, 9,500 on the straightaway. As he goes down 50, just 5,000 RPMs. That's a lot of RPM on the top side, but the average is not a lot. At Atlanta, when we go next week, they'll turn 9,500 down the straightaway and about 8,000 in the corner. So,
yeah, and that range of RPM, the big range from top to bottom here, is tough on the engines, going up and down the scale all day long.
And especially when you back off the throttle and slam on the brakes, the engine just lunges forward. The 37 car broke an engine yesterday when he backed off the throttle.
Rusty Wallace winning here back in April. That's another case, BP, of the fastest car doesn't always win. Rusty took the lead from Jimmy Johnson very late in the race and held off Bobby Labonte to pick up the win.
Yeah, they had a pit stop with just a few laps to go. The 48 car decided to stay on the racetrack. That was their strategy. He ended up finishing 4th. 3 guys got by him.
A pit stop with about 90 laps to go. Rusty took the lead with 45 to go and went on to score his 7th Martinsville win.
Just down to 16th of sway bar, guys.
Let's go down 1/6, reduce the size of the front sway bar 1/16 of an inch. That's not much of a change.
Sway bar, another name for anti-roll bar, trying to keep the car from rolling over in the corner. If Kasey Kahne's car is rolling over in the corner or rolling well in the corner.
Not as well as he would like, Alan. How about that? And not as well as he would like on pit road either. See that damage? He backed into someone on pit road. You talk about the traffic jam, guys waiting in line, guys getting impatient. He was backing up for some reason on pit road and hit Sterling Marlin's car. A little bit of rear bumper damage, but this has been a struggle for Kasey. He admits this is not his best racetrack. Hard for a rookie to get a hold of this racetrack. And he's trying to get a feel, trying to get into a rhythm here, and he really hasn't hit it yet. You know, he dominated last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Likely he will not dominate here tomorrow, just trying to get a feel for this Martinsville racetrack.
You know, I was noticing yesterday, you can't see the fuel cell on the 9 car, but the different strategies with how they place the fuel cell in these cars. Some had them up, some down. Up, it's better downforce. Down, you got more weight low. Different theories by different crew chiefs.
And Benny, just to follow up on what Marty was talking about. Okay, this is the shortest and slowest track on the circuit, but this might be one of the hardest tracks for a driver to come in and learn. This place is tough.
Oh, it's awfully hard. And as I said, I don't know that the front runners will have brake problems, but somebody will. And Kasey Kahne, you know, not a lot of experience at this racetrack, not to say he's going to, but pretty soon you're out there, you're trying to keep up with the other cars, and pretty soon your brake pedal starts going away because you've gotten the fluid so hot it started to boil and you have no brakes simply because you get air in the system.
Even though a lot of these guys, as we watch Jeremy Mayfield, may have raced on half-mile tracks all throughout their upcoming in the sport before they get to the big time, these cars are bigger, heavier, faster, more horsepower, more downforce, the whole thing, and now all those forces compound the problems of trying to stop and go on a flat, tight racetrack.
And the competition is so much better than anything they've ever raced against. They have to go hard every lap to keep up.
Jeremy Mayfield heading back in, 5th fastest so far for Ray Evernham, who watches his teams in Nextel Cup final practice in Martinsville. Autorotica, the Goodwood Festival of Speed, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. here on Speed Channel. The Lord of March with his fabulous gathering of some of the greatest automobiles in the world. And you can take a look at what it was like Wednesday night, 9 Eastern time. It is Lord March, right?
Beats me. I heard Jeff Hammond yesterday on the qualifying show talking about being over there and how much he enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic gathering. Here's Robbie Gordon, singular car. And Benny, you and I were watching Robbie's lap and technique during the commercial and noticing how early he's backing off the throttle to get into the corners.
Yeah. Let's see. He goes down to, we'll see the minimum RPM, about 5,000, same as Rusty Wallace. Now, Rusty was carrying the car on down in the corner and turning about 9,400. We saw he only got up to 8,900. That means he's backing off the throttle much sooner. Trying to see how fast he can run, not using a great deal of those brakes. That was 9,200, wasn't it?
Robbie jumping out of the gas just past the flag stand on the front side. Listen to where he gets out of the gas. Here comes the flag stand on your right.
Coasting down in the corner. Obviously using some brake, but he's trying to figure out how fast he can run and not abuse the brakes. You've got to use them.
A little free roll in the middle now.
So Robbie heading into the garage here at Martinsville, and we check in on Matt Kenseth, who's out on track. Kenseth's going to come from pretty deep in the field. Okay, so what else is new?
Yeah, right.
25th starting spot on Sunday for Matt.
He had a good car in practice yesterday, and he was bummed out because he felt like that he didn't drive the car hard enough in qualifying.
Matt started 29th in the April race here, wound up finishing 8th. Given the difficult nature of this racetrack and where his track position is to start, I think he would probably be pretty happy with a similar result Sunday.
I would think so.
See that curving around the bottom side of the racetrack. That's another little curveball to the whole formula of driving this place. You want to hug the bottom, but if you hug it too tightly, you're going to bounce off that curve with the left side tires. It's going to throw you up half a lane, and chances are during the race there may be another car that half a lane up.
How many times have we seen that a car go down, hit that curb, jump up just like you said, right into the left rear of the car in front of them and spin them? But someone told me that they have reduced the height of the curb when they redid these corners.
That should be interesting to watch. Matt, obviously, a little bit faster car than Scott Riggs just in front of him. Can he pass him, and how?
No, he can't pass him. The only way he can pass him if Scott Riggs says, okay, you're faster than I am, go ahead.
Scott with a pretty good qualifying run all his own. He'll start on the outside of row 3 on Sunday. How about Jeremy Mayfield, Marty?
Well, he has the, where is he now, Alan, on the speed chart?
He was
up
5th.
high. He was 5th. He is 5th right now, and with a little bit of a loose race car, Jeremy's been fairly happy with it. They're trying to get the car tightened up just a bit. I talked to him yesterday about what's happened in the chase for the championship, and he said, yes, it's frustrating, but the worst part is we've run well everywhere we've been. We've been running well when we're involved in wrecks, so I can't focus on what's happened to us. All I can do is do what I've been doing, and that's running up front.
Yeah, Jeremy with a little bit of a hole to dig out in the chase for the Nextel Cup. And it happened over several races for a variety of reasons. This was lap 65 at New Hampshire.
That's when 31 of Robbie Gordon ran in the back of the 16 of Biffle, who was on the outside of the inside of the 19. At Talladega, the 43 car was banged by someone. He spins up right in front of the 19. And there the 01 car gets loose and gets in the 19, and he crashes.
That was where Kevin Harvick had blown up and dropped the oil.
That's right. That's right.
And sent them all scattering in turn 1 behind him. So Jeremy Mayfield with finishes of 36th, 35th, 38th, and 30th in 3 of the 5 races that have been run in the chase for the Nextel Cup so far.
So I was blaming Nemechek for something he didn't do. Joe, I'm sorry. You had nothing to do with that. It was oil.
He was a victim as well.
That's right.
What a drive for Dale Jarrett. Charlotte last week, and he's got the opportunity, not by choice, of a similar rally here at Martinsville on Sunday. Last week in Charlotte started 39th, wound up finishing in 6th position, and he's going to come from 32nd in the starting field in the Subway 500.
Different racetracks, different situations. To get up front here, there's going to have to be some kind of strategy. He's not going to be able to pass that many cars on the racetrack. They're going to have to change 2 tires, no tires, something to get track position and see then if they can keep it, if the car is fast enough to keep it.
I talked with Dale yesterday. He talked about this season being one of progress. He said somebody on the outside looking in may not understand that. He said, but I kind of underestimated how far behind we'd fallen toward the end of last season. And we've spent a lot of our energy this year on the 1.5 and 2 mile tracks, getting that program back underway, because those are the majority of the tracks we run. He said the last area we need to pick up now are the flat tracks. Martinsville being a pretty flat track, he said it's coming along, but it's not quite where we want it to be.
And I talked about top speed of 125. We see Dale Jarrett only 117 mile per hour top speed.
And there you see the progress for Dale Jarrett in the second half of the season. No top 5s in the first 14 races of the year, and only 3 top 10s. And he's picked those numbers up quite a bit. In fact, over the last few weeks, Dale Jarrett has recorded some very impressive finishes. 4 straight top 10s in the last month. DJ giving the big brown truck a workout here in Martinsville. Live coverage of Nextel Cup final practice continues on Speed after this. A whole new season of The Simpsons. November 7th on Fox. Check it out. Homer's back.
I thought I ought to hit Homer up the side of the head. I thought something had happened on the racetrack. Someone was saying, "Oh."
Might be a lot of people saying that tomorrow afternoon. The way things are looking here at Martinsville Speedway, this could be I guess I want to forecast a contact-filled race, not just the usual Martinsville contact either. There's going to be people fighting over one lane on the racetrack.
Yes, they are. And that means somebody's going to be running in the back of somebody a lot tomorrow. Right, Marty?
Probably a good bet, BP, and it's been kind of a Ward Burton weekend so far. Starts 4th tomorrow, 3rd fastest on the happy hour speed chart. Ward's very happy with the car. They changed rear shocks, trying to get a little bit better. The one thing Ward does not have as much as he would like of is forward bite off the corners. And Billy Engle brought up a decent point that as the truck race happens, Billy being his crew chief, they should lay down more rubber. That should actually help the grip on the bottom of the racetrack a little bit more. Matt?
And Marty, a lot of changes being made on the 8 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. How is the car, Junior?
Right now it's sitting on the scales. We're trying to make some changes, get some work done, and go out and make one final run, see if we can make it a little better.
You were doing a lot of looking at the tires when you came in from that last run. What were you looking for, and what did you see?
I just worried about the new surface is pretty rough on the tire a little, and just worried about spinning the rear tires off of it. But we did that before last year, so just got to go out there. Can't run this hard when the race starts. Won't be able to keep the tire on it.
Benny made a comment that the curbing looks different than how it was in years past. Have you noticed that?
Still got a bunch of black marks on it, and I hit it too, but it's not as big a curve. It's a little more gradual. Once you hit it, it don't throw you up the racetrack. They did a great job if we were building a parking lot, but I really miss how the bottom groove was ground. We really don't have a top groove right now, and I really think we're not going to have one this weekend.
And that's a comment that a lot of drivers have said this morning after the first session here at Martinsville.
I've seen a couple people drift up a little bit in the corners. I just saw Casey Mears.
Yeah, he was trying his best to get out of the way. You know, we showed you the jet dryers and the cleanup crew getting the rubber off the racetrack before this practice session started, and we see how it's all built up already. Imagine if you got up where this debris is and got into that, what would happen? Well, the answer is you'd crash.
So,
the
not
short
too
answer.
Good. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I just saw Kevin Harvick use the outside lane to get around somebody as well. We can hope. Final practice ongoing in Martinsville. Back for the fast few minutes in a minute. Final few moments of practice for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series in Martinsville, Virginia. Live on Speed Channel. Casey Kane, Ward Burton among those out on track, putting in some more laps. And let's check downstairs, Matt.
Benny.
Yes.
Who set a new track record yesterday?
Ryan Newman. Rocket Man.
The Rocket Man. And who is not doing well during this session by looking at the lap times?
Let me see. Let me find Rocket Man.
Look down by 28.
Oh, my goodness. What's up with their .12 car, man?
They have just been struggling this entire final practice session. Earlier, he was tight from the center off. Felt like he had too much right rear spring and too much front sway bar. They've made a lot of changes. He has been in and out, in and out. many times during this final practice session. His last comment, he said it's still lacking left rear drive and it's still loose on exit. It's tight in the center and loose on exit, so they're making some more changes to this 12 car.
So the Rocket is fizzling just a little bit, huh?
Yeah, but you know what? He's going to have the best pit position.
Best starting spot.
And he's going to have the best track position when this thing starts tomorrow. So
a lot to be said for that, too. I think we pointed it out today. And you just mentioned pit road, another big asset that he has.
Yep. Scott Wimmer putting in some laps for Bill Davis Racing in the Cat car. Marty, what are they saying?
Let's give a call to these guys, Alan. 8th fastest on the speed chart right now. They tested here a couple of weeks ago. This is Scott's second ever race at Martinsville. And you talked about new guys trying to get a hold of this racetrack. Scott somehow has gotten a hold of this racetrack. This is the same car he finished 9th with at Phoenix last year. Very consistent times. Frank started the crew chief. Very happy. They made one gear change, and you saw him playing with a track bar earlier as we went to commercial this last time. Scott's a pretty happy guy right now.
Hey, Marty, this is a racetrack that all your money and everything else is not the biggest asset it would be like it would be at Charlotte, because aerodynamics really doesn't play that much here. This is a mechanical grip kind of a exercise. So if he and Frankie Stoddard can get the mechanical grip, maybe they can compete against the Hendricks and the Roush and the Ganassis and the Gibbs.
Here is one of the hottest drivers and teams on circuit of late, or there was, Joe Nemechek.
There he goes.
Who you might say has been marching through the field the last few weeks. Get it? Come on, hang with me here, BP. Come on.
Marching through the field.
It's the Army car.
Oh,
Come
yes.
on.
2, 3, 4. I got you.
4 top 10s in the last 5 weeks for Nemechek. 6 New Hampshire, 7th Talladega, the Kansas City win, 5th in Charlotte. He's led the last 3 straight races. Unfortunately, he's here at Martinsville.
And that's not good?
He's had no luck at all. His best ever finish here is a couple of 14th place runs.
Okay, here we go on the outside of 48 car. 48 just got out of his way.
See what happens when he hits this corner with some of that junk on his tires. It didn't look like it was a big deal. There's hope.
There is hope. Hope springs eternal.
Mikey Waltrip just coming back into the garage area. We have a little look back at what he did just a moment ago on track. Scott Riggs.
Okay, just I guess we're going to have a little bump there. Yeah. Scott was actually trying to get out of his way. See the air hose there going to the blowing on Michael.
Hard day's work behind the wheel here at this racetrack for a driver, that's for sure. Back to wrap things up when the red and black flags wave next on Speed. Final moment or so of Nextel Cup practice here in Martinsville. This is the kind of racing we'll see tomorrow. Packed in tight, bumper to bumper, looking for a way through.
And the guy said, whoops, you guys go ahead. Carl Edwards said, that 12 car, he's fast. He's on the pole. That's Rocket Man. Maybe I should back off and let him go by. See, Carl, you got to keep up. He's struggling, the Rocket Man is. Well, he's 19th, so whatever change they just made on that 12 car has helped, because he jumped from 20th fastest to 12th.
That's another thing we're going to see tomorrow. You saw it when Bobby Labonte went up to let Ryan Newman through. Carl Edwards jumped under there with him. People are going to have to be very, very opportunistic tomorrow. Marty?
And guys, whatever change they just made on the 9 car really worked as well. Casey Kane now the 2nd fastest car. Tommy Baldwin told his guys, good job. That was a huge improvement from the first session. We have a car that can at least compete now. Matt?
Marty, both Yates cars inside the top 20. Elliott Sadler fighting loose. They fixed that, then the car goes tight. Pretty much after 14 laps, the car just goes to the tight side. They're just trying to work on finding proper balance as the flags are out, ending practice.
Hey, Matt, if you're looking for your cameraman, he's down with the 24 car.
All right.
I had to throw that in.
Yeah, you could let it. You can't let any of that go. Here's how they will start in tomorrow's Subway 500. Ryan Newman, his 7th Bud Pole Award of the season. Good starting spot for junior championship leader Kurt Busch as well inside of row number 4. Now some of the guys with not so good track position.
Okay, we talked about the top 10 cars. 42 out of 54 won the race from starting top 10. These guys got to struggle.
Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth, row 12 and row 13. So that's the Subway 500 starting at 12:30 Eastern tomorrow on NBC. 1 o'clock Eastern, an hour from now, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series from here in Martinsville. We'll see you later.